Welcome to another episode of Turn It Up. I just started it out a little different, a little different than a normal show. Just picking along with some drum beats that I have. We're beginning to write a new album, a new Stone Bison album, and we'll be working on some riffs, some drum beats and stuff, and me, Mike, and Jim Lyons are going to be working on it. So just testing some things with this recording and stuff like that. So you know it ain't gonna be a turn it up show unless you hear a little boogie boogie. But that being said, today that's probably gonna be just about it when it comes to the bass playing and music and talking about that stuff. That'll be for another day. I'm gonna set this down and get on to business, as they would say. Get on to business. We're not playing around here. It's a serious show. So, a buddy of mine got with me after watching my Bigfoot, whatever it was. Once again, Ben did not say it was a Bigfoot. I'm not 100% sure on what I seen. But this guy has a really good story. And like I said, I no longer, I'm not going to say I'm a Bigfoot believer by any stretch of imagination. But I listen to everybody's tale, and I don't take anything as a joke anymore. I don't take it for granted because I don't know what it could be. But this guy's story is, if nothing else, a really good story. By the way, you can see my Halloween decorations back here, new for Turn It Up. New for the Turn It Up video. We're moving on into the spooky season, so I felt this was right. A really good story, and you know what, man? I couldn't help but believe the guy after he told me the story. I was like, I could see definitely that being a real thing. You know, his conviction and the way he tells it. I wish he would come on here, and do this with me, but he didn't feel like he wanted to, so I took notes. Took some notes. I wrote down what I can remember from the story. I tried to get it while it was fresh in my head after he told me it. But so here we go. Without any further ado, I'm going to call this the Yellow Creek Bigfoot story. So a buddy of mine wanted me to tell this story. He has a pretty huge farm with a creek, Yellow Creek. I'm not going to tell you where it is because he don't want people on that land, and I don't blame him. I won't want people traipsing up and down my land looking for something I seen either. I got a huge farm. They're avid hunters. They were avid hunters, and they have huge cornfields on this, big cornfields, and they don't even use the cornfields for like cattle corn, or they don't even use it for eating corn. They use it for feeding wildlife. So I don't know if if you're a hunter, you'll know this, but if you're not a hunter, you may not know this. But it's illegal to set corn out, loose corn. It's called baiting. It's illegal to bait an animal, but if the corn is planted, it's not illegal for the animals to come in and eat that, and you can hunt right there. It's catch-22, whatever you want to call it, but anyways, they use that corn for that purpose. So the deer come in, the turkey come in, and then go hunting. So to begin the story, he said it started out, and he goes, and I can tell you exactly what date it was. He said it was just 3 years ago to this, and it was on November 16th. Said he woke up early. He said he got up about 3 o'clock in the morning, and his mom had fixed him a huge breakfast. He said that he'd eat 3 pancakes, 4 fried eggs, a whole bowl of bacon, 3 or 4 biscuits. He said, I eat till I couldn't eat no more. He said, I decided I was going to get in my camo, got dressed in my camo, grabbed my shotgun, grabbed my turkey calls. He said I was going to go hide out to the blind. He said, so I took off and got on my four-wheeler and drove out through these cornfields that he had. He said, and I mean, I've seen his cornfields. You can see for miles in these cornfields. He said he drove out to the other side of the cornfields, and on the back end of the cornfields, the creek runs through, and on the other side of the creek, he has his blind. So he said he rode his four-wheeler up there, and he said he quit about 275 yards to 300 yards before he got to the blind. He turned the four-wheeler off and parked it in the rows, and he walked on out so he could get to his blind and didn't scare nothing in case something was already there. And at the back edge of that, where the creek runs, they have a bunch of corn that's knocked down, that they knock down so the turkeys and everything can come get to the corn and eat the corn. And he said he crossed over the creek and then got to his blind. And he said he knew he had a good hour before the sun come up, so he was just going to sit in there and get comfy. He said, I guess I got too comfy, or that big breakfast did it. He said, but the next thing I know, I was waking up. He goes, when I woke up, he goes, it was about 10:30. He goes, I looked at my watch, and he said it was 10:30, and he was like, he was pretty ticked. You know, he said, I'm mad. I missed my hunt. Got up there and fell asleep, and he said, I was mad. And he said, so I grabbed my shotgun and my calls and opened up the door and left the blind. And he said, I was going to walk back to my four-wheeler. And he said, I crossed the creek, went over, and he said, I looked at that corn pile, and I looked at the corn pile, and he said, there was feathers and blood everywhere. And he said, I was furious. He says, somebody came in here and poached on me while I was over there asleep in that blind. He said, he goes, I was livid. He says, so I was going to go run back to my four-wheeler. And he said, I'm going to get on that four-wheeler, and I'm going to see if I see anybody on the side of the road over here. He said he got about maybe 50 yards into the rows, started walking in the rows. He said, all of a sudden I heard stalks just getting knocked down. He said, oh, I got y'all now. He said, he cocked his shotgun, and he said he just took off after them. He said, I could hear the corn rows just getting knocked down. He said, and I knew that they were out there. He said, I didn't hear a four-wheeler, so he goes, I assumed they were on foot. And he said, so I'm going out to the left. The only way they can get out, they're going to run into the hill over here, that edge of the cornfield to the right. And I meant to the left, knocks out into the hillside over there. He said, so they had a park at the road. They couldn't have drove down through there going out that way. And he goes, I know they ain't climbing up that steep hill and going out to the other side. And he goes, so I flanked them. I went further left, and I come out before the bend of the hill. He said, so I sat there and I waited. He goes, oh, yeah, I was ready for them. I was going to let them know what for. Don't you ever come down here hunting on my spot again. He said that he got been waiting about 25, 30 minutes and never seen them, never seen sight of them. He's like, well, they don't make sense. He goes, either they're out there plucking that thing right there on the spot. He goes, or something's going on. So I started easing up around the edge of the cornfield. He said, I rounded the corner coming out. He said, it's nothing but bluff and hill. He goes, there's a little bit of hill, but the front part of it's all bluff, straight, sheer bluff. And then the rest of it's kind of a hill, but it's a wooded hill. He said, it's not an easy track to get up that hill onto the other side. He said, you're doing something. He goes, you're going to be exhausted. He said, so either they doubled back into the cornfield after I came out, maybe they heard me come through and they doubled back around. He said, but anyways, I'm going to walk the edge of this. Maybe they went out that way and went all the way around the cornfields. He said, so I started walking. He goes, when I got around that bend, he goes, I'm going to tell you right now. He said, Ben, my hair, every hair on my body was standing on end. He goes, he was standing no more than 25 yards from me at the edge of that hillside. He goes, he goes, every bit of 7 foot tall. He goes, I guesstimate 7'8". He said, I guesstimate just by comparing the tree later on to what it is. He goes, I'd say he was 7'7", 7'8". He goes, not orange. He goes, he was not orange, but he had really bright brown hairs. And he goes, he was standing there with a huge tom tucked underneath his arm. He said he had a huge tom turkey, and he said no neck on the thing. He goes, no head, no neck left on it. He snatched the neck plumb off of it, and all it was the body of it sitting there. He goes, I started to ease my shotgun up, and he goes, I knew damn well that shotgun wasn't going to do nothing but make it mad. He goes, but I thought maybe if I can fire a shot in the air, this thing will go. And he said, about that time, he blew at me, snorted like a buck blowing at you. And he goes, I looked back down at my shotgun, and when I looked back up, he goes, he was done halfway up that hillside. And he goes, I'm not exaggerating. He goes, it did not look like he was running. It looked like he was gliding up that hillside. He goes, within the next second, I couldn't see him no more. Completely out of sight. He goes, I've told a few people about this story, and he goes, everybody says what they want to say about it or thinks what they want to think. And he goes, you know what? I don't blame them. He goes, if somebody told me, I wouldn't believe it. He said, but ever since then, that was 3 years ago, he goes, I've set out every trail camera. I've monitored the hillside. I've looked for every bit of evidence that I can find. He goes, I'm bound and determined that I will get evidence of that there is a Bigfoot. And no, guys, this ain't far away. Now, Yellow Creek's pretty big. I'm going to go tell you where in Yellow Creek, because Yellow Creek stretches across many counties. And I'm not going to tell you which county he's in Yellow Creek. And I'm not going to tell you where he lives at. That's him. If he wants to come on here with me and sit down and tell his story and tell you where it's at. But he invited me to come out with him and look it over, and I was like, well, if you let me bring my gear and stuff, we'll make a day of it. And he's like, well, let me think about it. And I get it. He doesn't want to be ridiculed for his story. I mean, it's his story, and the guy's got nothing to gain from making this story up. I mean, there's no gain for him. It's not like he's selling the story to Close Encounters or anything like that. He's got nothing to gain. I've known this guy for quite a bit, and I've never heard him tell a tall tale or a tall story or fib or lie or any of that. He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. What he saw is what he saw. Now, he said He ain't reeling out. He goes, I don't. He goes, I seen what I seen, and I'll stand by it every day that I stand by it. Went looking for tracks. Where my encounter was, I didn't want to acknowledge that it was existing, and I never wanted to go back and even acknowledge that it existed or that it happened or that I seen it, and I didn't want it to know that I seen it. He's been the total opposite. He's went scouring all his property. He set out extra trail cams. He said, he goes, I spent a fortune in just trail cams. He said, I am bound and determined to catch it. And his theory on this is that it's a migrating animal, that it migrates territory to territory, but he believes it follows that creek. He believes that somewhere on Yellow Creek it spends its time and then it makes its way back. And he said, I don't know. He goes, it's been 3 years ago. He goes, let's see how far this animal migrates. But I know a lot of people think of Yellow Creek and think of how many houses are on Yellow Creek and stuff, but there's still a lot of raw land on Yellow Creek all the way down. I mean, my property that I go to is out on Yellow Creek. It's on the Houston County side, but the raw land all over that. There is, like he said, there's plenty of livestock, animals, food. There's wild animals and fish. Everything that an animal of that size would need to maintain a steady diet and be healthy is all abundant there. So everything a person would need, and when I say a person, I'm referring to my theory of Bigfoot is it's some kind of humanoid human being. It's maybe a lost strand. I don't know. I don't know what my theory is. I haven't made up my mind because I'm just touching the tip of studying about it. But he really has put a lot of time in studying it, and to him, like he said, I don't want to hunt it. I don't want to kill it. I don't want to put it on my wall. He goes, I want to know what it is. I just want to know what it is. He goes, that's all I want. I want to study it from afar. I want to see it in its natural habitat, and I want to have evidence that when I tell this story, nobody can mock me or laugh at me because I have complete evidence. And I wish him luck. I got to tell you guys, like I said, I'm no Bigfoot expert. I'm not. I'm extremely intrigued by the story of it after what I've seen. It intrigues me, and it intrigues me even more that how many people have came up to me with their own stories on Bigfoot. People who I would never think have a story, but wasn't willing to share that story until they seen me share my story, and then they felt comfortable to share it. So, look, guys, I'm not here to mock or laugh or judge or say that guy's seen a Bigfoot. That's not what I'm here to decide. I'm not here to say this guy definitely seen a Bigfoot. I don't know what he's seen. But I know he's seen something. He's seen something enough to make him believe and spend a lot of money and a lot of time devoted to finding out what he's seen is real. And to me, that's what makes his story legitimate, and to mine. And I don't know. I guess anybody. I guess anybody that has a Bigfoot story has a reason for having it. I'll go with that first and foremost. Like I said, I wanted to share that story, and anybody else who's got a story and you don't want to come on here and do it with me, if you want me to share it, I'll share it just like I did his. And as you can tell, I didn't name any names.
I disguised my voice.
Just so everybody wouldn't know who I am. In all seriousness, if you want to come on here with me and share your story, I'm more than happy to do that. I will travel. Like I said, none of this is a professional setup. I'm just extremely fascinated. I'm sorry, too. I got a little bit of this head cold that's going around. But I'm extremely fascinated by the subject. Do I think there's something to it? I think there is something to it. I think there's no way in the world this many people have seen something. You know what I mean? It can't be that many people making up this. There's something out there. I'm sure there is. And that goes for other stuff too. I've never seen an alien, so I'm not going to say there's an alien. But have I seen stuff in the sky I can't explain? Yes, I have. And to me, that's a UFO, an unidentified flying object. Have I seen a UFO? Yes. Have I seen an alien spacecraft? I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, y'all do me a favor and turn it up